All right, welcome to it is Group G, round of 32 for the ASL.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I am your host, Tyrannus, joined by Trigonal.
What up?
And we're going to get right into these games, starting out on Daybreak. It's got a pretty good TVT for you, so we're going to go right into the player introduction, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. He is your green Zerg player, going hatch first, Outset Gaming's HydrO.
And as opponent to kick off this group, it will be spawning up in the top right-hand corner of our map, representing Forge Force Gaming and the UK. Woo! It is Ceonsamea, and he's the only English player the only British player even in the whole Challenger League, I believe.
Yeah, we don't know if he's British, do we?
I do.
Oh, okay.
He's British. Okay. He's English. I met him at a couple of lands a few times. He's a good guy. I'm really looking forward to fantastic games out of him.
Yep, and we do have a TVZ, and that seems to be the norm for the rest of the group. Our next match will, of course, also be a TVZ. You can go ahead and find what you're watching right now on our Team Liquid page. We do have a bunker going down for this Reaper, so getting right into the action, Ceonsamea forcing HydrO to maybe respond to this if he wants to end the early harassment coming out of this Reaper. A spine collar does go down, but the bunker is completed. And once again, we do have two more players right now that are waiting after this game. It will be can't remember them, but we'll get into that game shortly.
Yeah, and that Reaper's going to make its way into the bunker. There's another one coming across the map, and the Reaper can sort of dance in and out, sees the spine crawler, so he knows the time that this bunker has is a little bit limited, but it can really threaten this queen. Not so much the hatch, but dancing in and out of the bunker. Of course, they're completely safe and they can regen health while in the bunker.
Right.
So they're going to chip away and deny mining. And this spine crawler is just going to plant itself down right in front of the bunker because the Reapers don't really have enough damage to focus on the spine crawler. They might get that queen though. Some micro backs and forwards.
Yeah, and they can actually, of course, salvage the bunker, and that's what he's going to do. He does have another Reaper on the way, and back home, Ceonsamea does have his natural all up and running, of course, and he's going to go ahead and get a reactor down and a Hellion down, so we're likely going to see some Hellion Reaper play going on. And this map does kind of lend to it as the three Reapers come in here, and they will two-shot drones if they all shoot at the same time on the same drone. If this map does lend itself to this sort of play because there's two wide open ramps at the natural, and the wall off is rather difficult. So a lot of Terrans will look at wide open naturals and be like, how do I wall this off? I need to wall off against Zerg. But they don't remember that the Zerg has to wall off against that in early initial aggression as well. So, what works against you will also work for you. And a starport is going to come down for Ceonsamea, so he's not going into the typical 3 racks. He is going to go ahead and continue on with the early to mid-game aggression.
Yeah, with those 3 Reapers, he's pretty safe against anything but the most dedicated of Ling Roach pushes out of that Zerg player. And the Banshee's going to be pretty good against any of those as well. Those 3 Reapers, aside from threatening a bit more in the early game, they didn't get too much done. Really, when you build 3 Reapers, you're looking to get quite a few drone kills, pick up Queen, and there wasn't that much done by Ceonsamea with those. But they add a lot more punch to the Reaper Hellion harass later on, a lot more sustained damage because those Hellions have a bit more. Their damage comes in bursts. They've got a very slow fire rate. So if they leave on a unit on a little bit of health, they can quite often get in 1 or 2 more attacks before the next round of fire from the Hellions finishes off. But with those Reapers, the more consistent damage really, really helps out in making sure your units don't take as much damage. Also, having the tanking from the Reapers, you can take queen shots on the Reapers and then run away and heal up all very, very nicely.
Yeah, and he's got 4 Hellions with this, now 6. That's kind of the magic number, what a lot of the standard Terran pros go to, and of course, whatever the professionals do, everyone else will try and mimic. But it is a really safe number. It is 3 hatcheries, rather. He can take that queen down rather easily, nothing else here to support it. And that's, anytime you pick up that, that's always good, denying any of the initial creep spread right now. And so Hydra's going to be forced to make Lings right here. He is picking off some reinforcing Hellions, but we have Roaches making their way across the map as that Banshee comes out and sees it. So we have a big Roach push from HydrO and Banelings down at the bottom of this ramp. So he's going to see it with this Banshee if he pushes out and kind of tries to deny it with these with his Banshee. If he's trying to hit these roaches, now the Banelings are going to come in, so he sees it. The Lings are going to go ahead and start working on the bunkered wall, but repairing SCVs, are they going to be enough to stop these Banelings? He needs to target the Banelings. Okay, the Banelings, now he's got 4 more coming in, and they're probably going to bust it to get in front of this roach here. Now they're going around the other side, so not actually getting the best detonations with those Banshees that he could, and he's going to be able to hold this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, HydrO didn't bring his Banelings in all at once and wasn't able to get that big burst of damage onto the bunker to outdo the healing from the SCVs. But he is going to kill quite a few SCVs here, nonetheless. With the second Banshee coming in, it's going to be much easier for Ceonsamea to clear this up. Across the map, though, Ceonsamea's Hellions have been doing quite a bit of damage as well. So they're sort of swinging blow for blow. I think HydrO comes out a little bit ahead, at least in the economic count.
I'm going to disagree with you in that. And yeah, economic count, yes, but he still has the Banshees on the field. No Banelings as of yet. He's going to lose a lot of Lings here, and he's not going to target down the hatchery. Okay, now I am actually in agreement with you. He's going to be able to go ahead and target down this hatchery rather quickly.
Banshee's going to kill that, yeah.
Yeah, Banshee's going to be able to come in here and end it almost instantly. And we do have Stim coming up, so yeah, you're right about the economic advantage. I figured had Ceonsamea been able to, take out that hatchery, they would have been a little ahead for Ceonsamea, but now he's going to have to... Well, okay, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where this one goes. He does have a lot high HydrO count, and that's more what matters as opposed to like losing a hatchery. It's not too big. And of course, he still has a pretty decent army as we see a massive green coming across at the same time as these Banshees go ahead and go to work on this extractor.
Yeah, and the other Banshee down by the third base location is picking away at drones that try and long distance mine. So a lot of damage being put out by these Banshee. Oh, this one's going to be able to pick up the Queen as well. Very nice.
We do have a Lean Bane bust. Lean Bane bust. Yep.
Another follow-up bust coming out from HydrO. The Banelings finishing up for that. Still no speed on the Banelings, but the Lings are plenty fast enough, and they're going to be easily able to bust through the bunker this time.
A lot of Banelings, Artosis.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a lot of Banelings. They are going to get all the SCVs. I wonder if they might just bust straight onto the orbital one, but no. Ceonsamea very wisely lifts that. But the natural base location has been broken.
Yeah, and the supply is still a little bit in favor of Ceonsamea, and you're kind of wondering where that supply is. He's only got 20. He's got 25 SCVs, so he's got a pretty decent army supply in Marines and Banshees. And this Banshee has really paid for itself. He's got 22 kills, and all he has to do is continuously dodge this Spore Crawler and then target drones. And so he's like absolutely single-handedly winning the fight for Ceonsamea. At this point in time, HydrO does not have even if he's on 2 hatches to 1 CC, he does not have the economic output that Ceonsamea does.
Yeah, absolutely not. Ceonsamea, really, I think HydrO should have pulled pulled drones from this main base a little while ago, because he has lost so many to this Banshee, just hitting over 32 kills now. Jesus. And there's another one by the third base that Ceonsamea is not actually using right now on 12 kills. So these 2 Banshees have been the absolute game changers for Ceonsamea here. They're really what's keeping him in. And Ceonsamea actually might even take a worker lead in a second. Oh, no, a few more finishing up HydrO. But
it's
very,
very close. Lead.
Yeah. And welcome back. As promised, we are here on Overgrowth. And our first player spawning up in the top right-hand corner of that map. Once again, for Forge Force Gaming, it is the Orange Town Ceonsamea.
Yeah, and he was able to take game 1 in a pretty funny fashion. It was a little bit of just Banshees. That's kind of all you can really say about that. But his opponent in the bottom left, currently down, of course, 1-0, trying to tie it up and maybe get a chance to progress into the winner's match. Of course, on the bottom left of Overgrowth, he is your blue Zerg player representing Outset Gaming, HydrO.
Yes, he is going for pretty normal sort of hatch first. I wonder how many Reapers Ceonsamea is going to commit to this time. Last time he went up to 3, but I think that was because he managed to get the bunker down. I don't know exactly whether Ceonsamea goes for that many Reapers if he can't get the bunker down. Last time I talked to him, he actually didn't like building more than one Reaper, but he's obviously changed his mind about that. So let's see. There's no way he's going to get that bunker down with the drone out. It's nice to see HydrO already adapting to Ceonsamea's play. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's good to see at this level of play. Of course, we are in Challenger League, so these are Diamond and Masters players. Both of these players are Diamond as of right now, as of today. He is going to go ahead and throw down the bunker anyway, just to force a response of a HydrO, almost testing the waters. And the drone that was down there to go ahead and stop that is going to come back and try and get it, but it's like a free drone kill now for Ceonsamea, so I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He's going to force an extractor trick to save that drone, and now the Reaper can just go ahead and poke and see what's going on. Typically, I think you make multiple Reapers on Daybreak because you have a bit longer of a spawning distance, and you actually have a bit more leeway when you're making Reapers as opposed to teching straight into Hellion. But he's going to go ahead and make his second Reaper already, so there's your answer. He's going to go ahead and make multiple Reapers because, you know, the bunker is canceled because of those two Lings that pop from the main, but he still, I think, is going to go right into 3 Hellion. Yeah, his third Reaper's on the way, so he likes his early multiple Hellions, at least, it seems, these days. Changes his mind a little bit.
Yeah, aggressive Reapers. I kind of agree with him. I think, like, I really like the commitment to extra Reapers as well. It delays your factory a little bit, but I think it's possibly so annoying with those Reapers, and they force some kind of response to the Zerg, even if it's just not being able to pre-shed because he's got to spend energy on transfuses for his queens, or just because you're running and picking off all his creep tumors. You're almost guaranteed some kind of damage with those 3 Reapers, and as I said last game, they just make the Hellion pressure so much stronger, so much more sustained DPS. So I really like it. I like the adaptation he's made.
Yeah, and if anything, it ensures that you're going to get a scout, right? Because if you lose one Reaper or 2, you still got, well, in this case, a third Reaper. So it ensures that you have the chance to scout those 6-minute timings, which are so crucial, especially if you're chilling and looking for that Roach Baneling bust, which is what happened last game. It doesn't seem to be so much so committed, but there is a Roach Warren going down at the foot of the natural. I think it's going to be completing a little bit of a wall off for a Zerg player, as well as 2 Evo Chambers. So he's going into the Roach play. It seems like HydrO's one of those Roach players. And these days on ladder, it seems like Zerg players go into either the Ling Bane Muta or they go into Roach Hydra. And it doesn't seem like there's much, at least from my level, and I'm just a lowly Diamond player, but it doesn't seem like there's much variation on those themes, and those seem to be popular. And it's almost like mech and bio for Terran player, where if you're a meching player, you mech, or if you're a bio player, I can throw in some mech when I need to. But for Zerg players, is it like the same way? Because you're a Zerg player, is it the same way? If you're a Zerg player, I Roach HydrO because I Roach HydrO, or I Ling Bane Muta because I Ling Bane Muta? Like, what's the difference?
For me, I think the difference is there's quite a different play style. I think Roach HydrO is much more oriented about hitting your attack timings, and if you see it, scouting a 3cc build, and if you see it, then you can go for a big 1-1 Roach swell, and if you don't see it, then you can sit back, macro up, maybe take a 4th base, and try and defend any incoming push while upgrading for a 2-2 Roach Hydra push to try and deny any third. And it's really all about suppressing the Terran, whereas I think Ling Bane Muta is much more about what you're doing than what they're doing. So with Ling Bane Muta, you just want to be as greedy as possible while producing as few units as possible, and then when you see him move out, you morph your Lings you've already got into Banelings, and you build a big flood of Lings, and then crush any incoming push. Well, that's the ideal anyway. It doesn't always go that way, especially for me. But yeah, I think that's how it is. Roach Hydra is much more about trying to suppress your opponent, whereas Ling Bane Muta is much more about trying to build yourself up. And this Banshee's going to do a little bit of work again. It's going to snipe Queen before running away, taking a little bit of hull damage, but wow, only 1 shot from that Spore Crawler. Very nice.
Yeah, we do have a very similar play style coming out of this match than we saw in the first match. And of course, HydrO is going to go and commit to this Roach play, because he's going to go ahead and invest in missile attacks as opposed to melee. And we do have Cloak was researched for Ceonsamea. Of course, we saw that in his Banshee. And these Hellions are going to get in, and they're going to do a little bit of damage on these drone lines. We'll see how many kills that they can get, as well as the Banshee coming up. So this is a really good play. He's going to have to pull drones. You never really want to do that against Hellions ever. He is splitting the drones up, but actually, if you just kind of leave drones, they kind of tend to remain as, a little bit split anyway. The worst thing you want to do is pull a bunch of drones off in a straight line, because Hellions will love to see that sight, and then just go on and shoot and kill 19 drones in one shot on a ramp or something like that. And he does see the infestation pit, so that's actually a pretty big tell too. That means he's got a little bit of time, I think, to go ahead and exploit his timing before HydrO really gets the unit composition that he wants.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Going that sort of fast infestation pit is a style I've only ever seen from one other player, and that is Ceonsamea's teammate, Heiser. So I know Ceon and Heiser practice together quite a bit, so Ceon might be seeing this and thinking, aha, I know what's going on. And I think that fast infestation pit will be for a fast lair and really quick Vipers to add it on. I don't think that's the best thing against what Ceon's actually going for, because obviously the Vipers are fantastic against tanks. Yeah, there's the hive. Sorry, I said lair. Yeah, fast hive for those Vipers. And yeah, Ceon's building Widow Mines in response to this, not tanks.
Siege
so
tanks,
the
right.
Vipers aren't going to be so good. Obviously they're still pretty good on the Bio, but Bio's really mobile. Just sort of runs around the blind clouds and keeps on dealing a ton of damage. So I don't know. I think Ceon's in a pretty good position, aside from the fact that his upgrades are so far behind.
Yeah, he definitely has a supply lead, and though his upgrades are behind, actually his 1-1 hasn't even finished up compared to HydrO's 2-2. He's going to go ahead and come up with a little bit 3 Marauder Widow Mine drop and start working on these drones. And at this point, this is a good response. I like to see this when you have the Zerg player going Roach Hydra. It's when you start to drop and you're going to abuse the immobility, as we were discussing. The immobility of Roach Hydra is really what comes into play, because you're really trying to get your unit composition. You're trying to get that massive Roaches and Hydras that allows you to just kind of parade push across the map and do as much damage as you can. So to drop, you're going to be, bringing that opponent left and right, trying to focus on a different base, this and that. And that's really a good thing, because, of course, the more economic damage you do now, it pays off in the long run. HydrO is going to go ahead and take a 4th at the bottom right. And Ceon, I don't believe, has scouted it. He has not scouted it yet. So we'll see if he goes ahead and maybe sniffs it out and puts on some pressure as he establishes his 3rd.
Yeah. It's nice, safe timing for Ceon to take a 3rd, and we saw HydrO scouted that there was no 3rd, which is, I think, why he didn't go for that, the 1-1 Roach timing. It's actually quite difficult to make it work against somebody who's still on 2 bases. And Ceon can now move out. He's still got that drop, or at least 2 Marauders of it, ready to move back in and do some pressure, but HydrO... actually, HydrO doesn't have any units in his main. I thought he did, but there's some Overlords instead. And Ceon's starting to move out onto creep. The Hellbats versus Roach Hydra is not actually something I've seen before, but I'm really interested to see how he makes it work, because Heiser, Ceonsamea's practice partner, uses Roach Hydra pretty much exclusively. Here we go.
Yeah, the splits are actually really pretty good. He's able to pick off a couple of Banelings pretty decently on creep, mind you. Now he's going to be able to get a pretty good concave against this. And you know what? The medevac is able to push out a lot, but I think this is too many Roaches and Hydras. He's going to have to back off in this. Those Roaches are able to tank a lot of damage and put out a lot of DPS. The Widow Minefield is going to be able to get a couple of shots off on this, but as you said, you correctly predicted HydrO getting in Vipers. And really, what are those Vipers going to do now? Aside from literally tank a little bit of health out of their own hatcheries. And we do have a double medevac drop coming out of here, so that's exactly what I called. And I think, I'm just gonna say I'm an amazing predicting caster in this, but he's gonna go ahead and keep dropping. He's gonna try and bring HydrO left and right, and that's a really good idea. So he's gonna go ahead and drop right into the main and attack pressure the 4th at the same time. And if you notice, the army of HydrO is not in the main to deal with this. He's gonna go ahead and take down that dropship. That's a pretty big catch, but look in the main, nothing to defend this.
Yeah, there's a few units coming in now, but Ceon can get a good bit of drop. And I know from experience, this is Ceon in his comfort zone. He feels very, very happy dropping and being all over the place. And I don't think he's going to get out of this. Oh, actually, no, there's no NG of the Vipers. He can't just abduct those medevacs if they try and run away. Or can he? Okay,
he's got to get
but
one, but he doesn't have anything. Yeah, he abducts the empty one. So not too bad for Ceonsamea. And that's unfortunate. That's a pretty good death animation for us in Overgrowth, going down to the swamp. No further pressure from Ceonsamea as of yet, but he's going to push out. I think he as he takes his fourth, this is a really good idea, because when you push out and attack at the same time as expanding, what you're basically saying is no matter what, my opponent is likely not going to be pressuring me because he's going to be forced to defend. So it's if you're going to expand, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and do it when you're attacking.
Yeah, absolutely. You should, unless you're going for some kind of pressure you really want to commit to and have to do damage with almost. It's almost always a good idea to expand behind the aggression. But here comes HydrO. Big engagement. Some pretty good blinding clouds are going to force Ceonsamea to kite back out of them. And I don't know. I think HydrO's got a lot of Roach Hydra here. Ceonsamea's going to be hard-pressed to take this. And yeah, he does have to retreat. Ooh, losing a full dropship at the same time. That is painful.
Yeah, and now HydrO takes a supply lead. So this is looking exactly like HydrO is, he's weathered the storm of the drops, and he's kind of got a lot of Hydras in this, and those things output DPS like nobody's business. So there's nothing at the third, really, for Ceonsamea to protect this. He does have a Reaper from the original 3, I think. I don't think he mismade a Reaper.
Yeah.
But now HydrO's army is just going to go ahead and say hello to this third, and this third is going to drop really, really quickly.
Yeah, that third is just dead. It's already, as soon as they say it, starts exploding. And Ceonsamea's going to move in to try and contest this, but losing his medevacs is really, really unfortunate. Medevacs are so important versus Roach Hydra. That what gives the big sustainability in the late game. And Ceonsamea's taken his boys off the line. That's one advantage Terran has against Roach Hydra. It's well, it's possible to actually pull the boys against Roach Hydra, whereas against Lingbane Muta, you just sort of like tank 2 or 3 extra banelings there. Oh, here we go, big engagement coming down the middle of the map. Blinding clouds are pretty good, but there's no tanking for these Hydralisks, so when the bio gets on top of them, they just start falling pretty much immediately. There's still quite a few Hydralisks though, so I think they're going to trade.
Yeah, the army of Ceonsamea is nowhere to be seen anymore. Most of his supplies in SCVs. He does have a little dropship down here at the 4th, and he's going to go ahead and take out that, and he's pick up his Marauders and see if he can pressure the 3rd. And this is going to buy him some time, actually, to maybe get his army reconsolidated, and he's not pulling back. HydrO's not pulling back his entire force, but this is kind of paying dividends for Ceonsamea, at least in buying him time. But of course, HydrO's still got a massive army in the middle of the map right now.
Yeah, and he's got quite a few banelings with this force as well, so the boys are not really going to be doing their work here. I don't think this command center is going to get away either under the sustained fire of all those Hydralisks. And here we go. I think this is going to be Ceonsamea's last push out, but he sees those banelings and he just has to run for his life. Tuck his tail between his legs a little bit and sprint back to safety. And his main is mined out, or very near mined out. His natural is pretty close to it as well. And this drop has done some absolute fantastic work, but I just don't think it's enough. I think Hydra's going to come back. He's using his whole army to deal with this drop, and he's going to deal with it. And then he's going to march back across the map, and Ceonsamea's still going to be in a really bad position to defend. But we'll see. Ceonsamea just have a slight army advantage at the minute. It's just he doesn't have any mineral patches to work with, really.
Yeah, and I think if you go bio-mine against Roach Hydra, you're kind of asking for it a little bit. Like, it's very hard to keep that sustainable if you throw engagements away. Typically in Lingbane Muta, you can kind of trade engagements, trade armies, and then seize the upper hand with drops. But with this, you can't just like throw an army away because you didn't get favorable damage done. And now we have an engagement coming up this natural. We do have a pretty good concave from Ceonsamea, but all those banelings going to get in, and the blinding clouds are really good. The Hydras are able to put a lot of DPS, but Ceonsamea has still got some staying power with those medevacs, and a couple of banelings burst on Marauders. But now the Hydras are going to have to go home, and they're not the quickest off of creep. We do have concussive shells. No, we don't. We don't actually have concussive shells. And that would pay dividends here, and he'll be able to pick off a lot more Hydras. So just as we're talking about it, when you get a favorable engagement, now he's going to come back and see if he can do some pressure of his own. Of course, the Ling army has already remade, and we're going to see if Ceonsamea can make something happen for himself here as these 4 Marauders come up from the back. Now the engagement's going down. How's it going to go?
I think it's got to favor Ceonsamea. Now, blinding cloud goes down, but it doesn't matter. That just means the bio has to step a little bit further forward before it kills the Roach Hydra.
Hydra's gone. Where's his army at? He has nothing left.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing. He's got to remax it, but he doesn't really have the bank to do that. There's no gas to make Hydras with, and Ceon is crushing through. GG. Ceon takes it 2-0. Yeah!
Wow.
Ribbon fighting.